I interviewed Eazy-E in 1987 for my high school newspaper. What happened was I was a struggling binge alcoholic at Oceana, low self-esteem, not really knowing what the fuck I wanted to do outside of hip-hop. And my counselor, Mr. King, he had this funny-ass voice. I can't even, no one can mock Mr. King's voice. Rest in peace, bro. I love you. But he had a funny voice. And so he calls me into his office, and he's like, "You're failing everything but English, so I'm putting you in the journalism squad." I was like, "I don't want to write." He's like, "Too bad, you're on. It's the only A you have. Everything else is D's and F's." I was like, "Okay, but listen, I don't want to write." All we had was football, wrestling, and swimming, and hoops. And I didn't care about any of those. And he was like, "Well, what do you want to write about?" I was like, "I want to write about hip hop." He was like, "Great, just write, get the fuck out of my office." I was like, "Okay, bye." So that weekend, I went to the record store. There was another record store up the street from Music Emporium. I don't remember what it was called. But that day, I walked with my dad, and hip hop was a small, like the hip hop section in record stores used to be as wide as this table. It was like 4 singles wide, bro. That was it. And so I was like, "What y'all got?" He was like, "We got this." It was My Uzi Weighs a Ton by Public Enemy. And I only had read about them. I didn't know what they were. You know what? I was like, that. I was like, "What else you got?" He's like, "I got this Ruthless Boys in the Hood." So he puts it on, and my dad's at the far end of the thing. I said, "Play it." And he's like, "Cruising down the street in my 6'4". And my dad, like, he hears that shit. He's like, "No." Like, he's at the end of the thing. He's like, "No." And I look at him and I'm like, "I know, right?" I said, "Put that shit in the bag, dog. Put that shit in the bag." Because he's down there. He don't know what record it is. So I had Public Enemy and Eazy-E the same day. Like, imagine what that does to, like, a 17-year-old brain that don't know shit, right?
Right.
So I go home. I pick up the phone. It's like Ruthless Records, 310. I was like, doo-doo-doo. Ruthless. I was like, "Hello, is Eazy-E in?" It was like, "Nope." I said, "All right, well, listen. I think he's got a hit on his hands. I'd like to interview him. Here's my number. Please have him call me. Okay? I'm calling from," the words I actually used. "I'm from a big time newspaper in the Bay." That's how you know I'm a kid. Big time newspaper. Have him call me. I go play hoops, come back. "A boy named Eric left a message for you." You lying. "Here's the number." It's some old LA shit. I said, oh, stop playing. "Hello? Yes, it's Eric Ryden." "This him. What's up, man? Hey, love the single. Love to interview. Are you up for it?" He was like, "Sure." I was like, "Cool. I'll call you back." My mom used to be a legal secretary, so she had all this phone recording shit. So I'm like, cool. So I call him back. Man, I'm just talking straight bullshit to this dude on the phone. He's happy to be interviewed. So we do the interview. I type it up, and the album was called, the title of the piece was called Eazy Does It Very Well. That's what it was called. Eazy Does It Very Well. It's the first article on Eazy and NWA. Because at the time, NWA didn't even say what they were called.
This is the first article ever in publication.
Probably. I've never seen one earlier than mine, right? But here's what happened. We become cool. Yeah, all right, cool, da-da-da. Now, we haven't even seen each other because video is a thing, but they had not put out a video yet. So then he comes to the Bay to do a show for a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. I want you to think about the irony of that. It's NWA and Eazy-E at a roller rink in San Leandro that too was a death cauldron. So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm in town. You want to come to the show?" I'm like, word. I was a big fan of Ice Cube since CIA. People don't remember Ice Cube and CIA, but he had a song called My Posse that I really loved. And he had another track called Illegal that I really loved. So I was trying to meet Cube, but Cube's dad didn't believe that NWA was going to be a thing. So he made Cube stay in school. And that dude was at ASU studying like graphic design or something. So he's like, "Everybody but Cube." I was like, all right, cool. So I go to the show. It was me, JT, and my boy, My Seat. And so I had never really been, like, I had been to the Fresh Fest. I went to the Fresh Fest. I went to all the things that happened at the Coliseum pretty much. But this roller rink thing was new. And he said, "I'm going to put you on a list." And I'm like, okay. So I don't really know what that means. Like, go to the front. Man, the line for this show was around the block. I had my little starter on, you know what I'm saying? The New York starter. Everybody was trying to have the starters. So I go up, and he said, go to the front of the line. So I went to the front of the line. Niggas was hot. Get out the front of the line, nigga. I was like, I'm on the list, plus two, I think he said. And they're like, and they're like, that nigga ain't on the list. I'm like, if you ain't on there, we're gonna take his starter, nigga. I'm like, fuck. And then they're like, me. That's me. That's my two. I was like, they let me in, bitches. I'm gone. So I go in. I'm walking around the back. He's walking around the back, but we don't even know what each other look like. So eventually he's like, Jay? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what's up, man? And so I got this picture of me, Eazy, Dre, Ren, and the Arabian Prince is in the shot. Like, it's that early in the NWA journey, right? The Arabian Prince is in the shot. They go, they do the show, shit was lit, but I interview him, and that was my beginning of hip-hop journalism.
That's a hell of a fucking beginning, man.
I know, bro. I had to, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I guess I'm doing this forever, right?
Wow. I'm a hip hop nerd too, right? And I used to love looking at the back of albums, and I would pay attention to locations.
Yeah, who they shouted out, like everything mattered, man. Like all the thank yous, right? You pay attention to that shit.
Yeah.
So,
and it makes me think of like before social media and all that, like you had to still find ways to be accessible for people to contact you. And even someone as monumental as Eazy-E, when he was still starting out on his grind, he was able to be, some guy wants to interview me? Cool, I'm on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that kind of hustle today, or that sense.
I have to remind myself of that to go try wild shit today, right?
And the other side of that too is like, if you're trying to be a journalist, fuck it, start big.
Just start, exactly, right?
Just try.
Just try, right? So then I dropped it. When it came out, still so many people, even at my school, didn't know who NWA was or Eazy was. Only a few, they're like, you really talked to him? I'd be like, I really talked to that fool, blood? Like, we cool. So what happens is, because I write this article, right before it dropped, he calls me one day and he's like, hey, what's up, man? Now you gotta understand, we were having regular conversations for months. And after about the first month, right before the piece dropped, he calls me. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, what's up? He's like, you know, my manager, Jerry, wanted me to ask you a question. I was like, shoot. He's like, who do you write for? Was it the Chronicle or the Examiner? And I'm like, okay. So look, man, I'm 17. I'm writing for the Oceana Foghorn, man. I just real fan, and I hope you don't hate me, And he said, who cares, man? No one writes about us. Run that shit. What do you need? He didn't care at all. And then we just stayed homies. Like, I thought he was going to be like, nigga, I'm coming up there with 30 niggas. And he thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. And we just kept going, bro. We just kept going. And so then, like, he called me a few months later and he's like, hey, he goes, don't you live near San Carlos? I was like, yeah. He was like, I got a new girl group. They're called JJ Fad. You want to go to the show? I'm like, yeah, I'm totally down for this. Like, what's up? They're playing at the Circle Star Theater. Like, let me tell you how old I am, and let me tell you about how unique this place was. Circle Star is so old. As a child, I saw the Jackson 5. I'm going to say that one more time. I saw the Jackson 5 at the Circle Star. Damn. I saw Kool and the Gang at their apex at the Circle Star. It was a star in the center of the stage, but the band played in the circle and it rotated. So no matter where you were, at some point, you would be at the front of the stage. That was the way the Circle Star worked. So, man, I get there, blood. He got me and AK in there. We got Backstage. I'm not used to any of this. I'm a child. Imagine if you were a kid and all of a sudden Eminem is like, come through, bring your friends. Like, this is what it was like.
Yeah.
Man, I go back there. It's EPMD, the 2 Live crew. Hammer's whole original crew was like in the row ahead of us. They was like 30 niggas deep. And so I had the backstage. I go back and I see Brother Marquise from the 2 Live crew. This is before they brought strippers. This was right before they started bringing strippers. And so he's like, hey, what's up, man? He just happy to meet. I'm happy to meet. We chilling. And he's like, let's walk around. Come with me. This fool was stealing from all the dressing rooms if nobody was in it. And he's like taking shit. It might be food. It might be a watch. And around the third thing that he takes, I'm like, fuck, man, like, you're not a real rat. You're just a guy walking with him. If they start figuring this shit out, you're going to get fucked up and he's going to just go on stage. I was like, bro, I got to chill, bro. I don't know what's going on. He was like, okay, man. You know what I'm saying? What is that? Right? And I was like, all right, I'm out. So this was my introduction into hip hop, but I'm really hanging backstage with EPMD. I'm really hanging with these dudes. And for a 17-year-old kid, there was no better entry for me than that, man.